What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the community question. I don't really know if that's what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it right now. Also, before we get into this video, because you're talking about movies, I do have a new channel. It is called Mind Trick Movies. I will have it linked somewhere up above. There's now 2 official videos on it. As of right now, Sony keeps trying to block the Spider-Man one, but if you're into movies, feel free to sub over there. I'd really appreciate it, trying to get that channel to 1,000. We're like around 250 right now. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and let's get into this video. Every once in a while, I will ask my Twitter followers a question, and at the end of this, I'll extend a new question out to you guys too, so you can take part in the next one. Just a random question about movies. It's usually movies, maybe it'll be something else someday, but as of right now, it's movie related, and we are talking about movies that you love, that everyone else hates. So before we get into it, I should start with mine, and I've been pretty vocal about this before. Pretty vocal about it. I got a big old soft spot for Phantom Menace. A soft spot that would put this squishy thing I have, this Digimon squishy thing, that is very soft, to shame. And I know that's a pretty unpopular position to put out there, but I have such nostalgia for it. You know, I have very fond memories of getting picked up by my dad after school. He took me to see it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I'd never seen a Star Wars movie before. My parents weren't Star Wars fans, so it was my first experience in the Star Wars world, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It still has, in my opinion, the best lightsaber battle. That lightsaber battle, that Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, the Darth Maul lightsaber battle is just the coolest thing ever. It was awesome. And when you're that young, like, Jar Jar doesn't really bother you. You think Anakin's cool. Every yippee is not like, oh god, why does he say that? It's like, yeah, yippee! So let's get into some of your guys' responses. So right off the bat, we do have some other prequel responses. Captain B-Cat says Revenge of the Sith, and honestly, of the prequels, Revenge of the Sith is usually seen as the good one. It's the one that some people actually have ranked pretty high on their overall list of best Star Wars movies. Some people have Revenge of the Sith pretty high up. It also has a fantastic lightsaber battle. It's definitely not a flawless movie, but I like them. I like all the prequels, though. Attack of the Clones, I would say, is actually the worst. But when I was younger, I didn't realize that Anakin was coming across as a psycho. I thought he seemed like a pretty stand-up dude. Awesome role model. And we got somebody who says, amazing Spider-Man 2. I really enjoyed it and thought the Sinister Six setup was a great tease for future movies. The ending with Rhino and the kid was hair-raising as well. But well, I love Tom Holland just as much. Now, I actually do like the Amazing Spider-Man movies quite a bit. I think the first one is a lot better than the second. I totally get a lot of the complaints. I even get the complaints from like a purist side of like making Peter's parents scientists cheapens his story and his everyman story in some way. But I'm okay with like changes like that. The Ultimate storyline kind of does something a little bit similar. Like with Venom not being a symbiote and it being like a product of like what Peter Parker's dad's working on. Like I kind of get that storyline and I'm cool with it. The second one is rough, but it still has like some of the best moments. Like, I'm sorry, that Gwen Stacy scene is done perfectly. Like, absolutely perfectly that was done. And it was so gut-wrenching because Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield made that on-screen relationship so believable. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, well, they're like dating, so like of course it was gonna be believable. I point you to Green Lantern, where Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds end up getting married and have the worst on-screen chemistry of almost any movie I can think of off the top of my head. And I think Andrew Garfield did a really good job even through all the complaints. So I get that. I get the Amazing Spider-Man 2 love. Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton edition. I feel like people are more like indifferent towards that Incredible Hulk. A lot of people just forget it happened. Like the original, like Eric Bana Hulk. That's a bad Hulk. Ew, God, speaking of Wolverine Origins, we got X-Men Wolverine Origins and the first Fantastic Four movie. Okay, first Fantastic Four, I'll give you a pass on, you know? Like, back then, like, I feel like a lot of times we just didn't know any better. I didn't really hear a lot of complaints about Fantastic Four until, like, the second one came out, and we were starting to get better movies like Iron Man filtering through. Maybe it was just because I was too young to hear the complaints of the first Fantastic Four, but I didn't hate it, but I also don't have a very strong like connection to the Fantastic Four as a superhero group, and that was back when I was like very forgiving of movies. Like that was back when I was like, yeah, Spider-Man 3 is a good movie. So I'll give it a pass, but Wolverine Origins is horseshit. Then we had somebody go in for some old classics, the movie Excalibur, Flight of the Dragons, which actually, fun fact, is one of my favorite movies. I used to watch that all the time as a kid. At my grandmother's house, I had it on VHS, I probably still do. I ended up picking up, I think it's a bootleg, but I did pick up, no, it might have been real. I ordered it from my old work, but I have a DVD copy of it. I doubt it'll ever get moved to Blu-ray in a proper way. I should check, maybe it is. It's a really fun movie. Krull, Stay Tuned, and then Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. I feel like a lot of people do like some of these movies, though. I feel like some of these are more like cult classic-y at this point. I feel like the overwhelming population just might not have seen some of these movies. Princess Diaries 1 and 2, don't judge. I think a lot of people love the first Princess Diaries. I don't think I've seen the second. If I did, it was like a really long time ago and not as many times as I saw the first one. I think Princess Diaries is a nice little movie. I'd watch that right now and be like, yes, go with it, Anne Hathaway. A lot of answers for The Last Jedi. That one's so mixed. I feel like there's a lot of people that still love Last Jedi, and then a lot of people that are just very vocal about their hatred of it. I have now kind of moved to a middle ground. I really, really enjoyed it when I saw it in theaters, and I think that comes down to like Rian Johnson just telling like a fun story as it's going. And then it's like upon repeat viewings is when I notice more of the flaws, and like the cool stuff, because I've seen it, doesn't stand out as being as cool, but the flaws become a little bit more obvious. Goddamn Waterworld. I love this flick, but everyone only talks shit on it. I haven't seen Waterworld in years, and I was like really young when I saw it, so I don't have any like real ability to judge there. But there were a few people that said Waterworld, so you are not alone. You are not alone, Sophie. A few people said Avatar. I know one of them was as a joke. I hate Avatar, and we're talking James Cameron's Avatar. I think that is the most overrated movie of all time, and I need to talk about my specifics as to why I don't like Avatar, and why, like, obviously it's fine if you like Avatar, but there's a lot of things that go into my believing that Avatar is the most overrated movie of all time. And I get that people are like, but the box office, and I'm like, yes, it is so successful, which is why it's overrated in my opinion. But obviously if you like it, you might find that it is rated just fine. But I'll talk about that more specifically. No hate to what you like. As long as things make you happy and don't hurt other people, it's fine. Short Circuit and the Mortal Kombat movies. Okay, those are just fun. Those are fun. Like, the Mortal Kombat movies are ridiculous. Like, the second one's like really bad, but the first one is just kind of fun. And Short Circuit's kind of like a classic like that. Bab says Mallrats. Do people hate Mallrats? Like when I'm talking like Kevin Smith stuff, like Clerks is where my heart lies, but I like Mallrats. I thought Mallrats was like mostly seen positively. I think that some people like Mallrats more than like Clerks because it's more like accessible. I didn't realize people hated Mallrats, but either way, I like Mallrats a lot. We got Pax with Lady Killers. I actually haven't seen Lady Killers. I know it's a classic, I just haven't seen it. We got Other Amanda with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I even liked it more than the first one. That's an odd choice. I don't think I've seen the second one. I didn't hate the first one, but I saw it when I was like, I don't know, probably in high school or something like that. Yeah, it was definitely in high school, so I don't know. Things back then it was a different time. It was a different time. Batman v Superman. This is a great one. There's a handful of people that kind of agree with that. I know a lot of people say like the extended edition totally fixes everything other than the Martha stuff. It's great. I have tons of issues with Batman versus Superman. I think there's a lot of stuff it does terribly. I think there's stuff it does with the Batman character in a good way, and I think that was a kind of like that stuff was dealt with a little bit better than I think some people want to give credit for. It's it really, the stuff that they do in that, and then what they go on to do in Justice League, which is like what really lets me know that DC has no sweet fucking clue what they're doing with those characters, because like the character development doesn't carry over. Like Batman character in Batman v Superman is very different in Justice League, and it's not like a natural progression. It's like, shit, we want to make it a little bit more lighthearted, so Batman now has to be more lighthearted too. So I feel like it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of the characters that they're trying to bring to screen. So yeah, I think that's a good choice, because I really do not like Batman versus Superman at all. But yeah, I know a lot of people do. So that one's I know that one's like by and large hated, but there is a big support group for Batman v Superman. J20 has a list. We got Mother. Mother is like the weirdest. I kind of wanted to walk out of Mother, and I don't frequently want to walk out of movies. That's, in my opinion, that is when Darren Aronofsky out-Aronofsky'd himself. It's like we've had Shyamalan out-Shyamalan himself, where he just kind of goes too far down the twisty twists, weirdness rabbit holes, and he gets bad, but at least he's kind of rebounded and he's doing really good work with like Split, and Glass looks like it's going to be great. I think that Tarantino went like a little bit too far into the Tarantino world with Hateful Eight, but it's still a good movie. Just some things just went a little bit too far. I think that Mother's where Aronofsky just lost his fucking mind. They try to make it as it's all this like really deep symbolism, but it's like the most obvious biblical symbolism like pushed right in your freaking face. Like, dude lost a rib, like, come on. Pain and Gain, that was another weird one. Like that's one of those ones that had those very abrupt tonal shifts that I didn't like when I saw it in theaters. Maybe I'd like it more now, but it just got like really weird, especially like after the stuff that happened in the weight room. That's when I was like, Elysium, I never ended up watching that. I've heard mixed things. Man of Steel, I really liked when I saw it. I think a couple of other people said Man of Steel as well. I like Man of Steel when I saw it in theaters, but I do think that it kind of misses the point of what Superman's supposed to be, and I really hate what they did with Jonathan Kent in that movie, like a lot. Battle Los Angeles, didn't see it, and Morgan. I never got around to seeing Morgan. It's like I saw a bunch of advertisements for it, and then it just like blipped, and I never got around to watching it, so maybe I'll give it a go. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, yes, that's a good answer, because that's my least favorite Indiana Jones movie. That's a solid one. The Village. I don't hate The Village as much as a lot of people do. I know I was just talking about Shyamalan out Shyamalan himself, but I didn't hate The Village. Ready Player One. I don't think Ready Player One got a ton of hate. I know it got a lot of like, oh my God, if they do one more, you remember this? Look at the thing in the background. Look at Chucky. You remember Chucky? Like I know a lot of people had problems with it because of that. But that's a book complaint too. I think mostly people were like decently okay with Ready Player One. The thing I say about Ready Player One is that it's not amazing. But by the way, we're watching that for movie night this Sunday. So if you haven't seen Ready Player One and you want to, either become a patron or sub to my Twitch. If you're either of those, you can take part in movie night. If not, it's out there. You can watch it now. You can probably rent it somewhere. I thought it's like a fun movie. I know if I was a kid, I would think that Ready Player One was the coolest thing in the world. But that's gonna do it for today's video. If there's anything you guys saw in this that you like greatly disagreed with, feel free to leave it down below. But like I said, at the end of the day, I try not to shit on people too much for the things that they love. If I hate something, I will complain about it. But at the end of the day, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, it's fine to love it. So that is gonna do it for today's video. Make sure you let me know down below what your favorite movies are that everybody else seems to hate. And we're gonna reverse the question for next week. What are movies that you hate that everyone else seems to love so much? So leave that down in the comment section below so you can be a part of the next week's community question. Again, if you want to check out my new channel, I'll have it plugged somewhere up below and probably at the end of the video here. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all later.